When you mix a street and a road, you get a strode. But when you mix a road and a freeway, you get a frode, right? Actually, you get an expressway. But are they as bad as stroads? Let's find out.
Come with me. Airplane. Love.
One type of road that isn't as commonly talked about among transportation and urbanist circles is an expressway. But before we get into expressways, I'd like to go over the hierarchy of roads from least access control to most access control. The street type with the least access control is the local street. These roads serve a primary function to provide access to immediately adjacent properties. The next type of street in the road hierarchy is the collector street. While having similar property access to local streets, collector streets provide expedited vehicle travel within a neighborhood. Next up in the road hierarchy is the arterial road. Unlike collector streets, arterial roads are designed to carry through traffic, although they may have adjoining property. Finally, the road type with the most access control are freeways. These are devoted entirely to efficient traffic movement, performing no land access function, and having no at-grade intersections. However, one road that gets left out of basic definition of road hierarchy is the expressways. In the road hierarchy, expressways lie somewhere in between arterial roads and freeways. Since the definition of expressway varies between jurisdictions, for the purpose of this video, I will be using the state of California's definition of expressways, which states that although they do not have to be divided, they must have some form of access control. Compared to arterial roads, expressways have fewer intersections and intersecting driveways. This is due to the higher speeds and the longer stopping sight distance that comes with it. For those who don't know, a stopping sight distance is the length of a roadway ahead that drivers must be able to see in order to perceive and properly react to an obstacle. It is the sum of the brake reaction distance and the braking distance. Speed limits on expressways are typically 45 or 50 miles an hour, while faster than what you'd find in an arterial road. This is slower than what you typically find on a freeway. Despite the higher speeds present on expressways, expressways can also sometimes allow pedestrians and cyclists, and even bus stops can be found on the side. Expressways may contain carpool lanes, but unlike freeways, they are usually on the right lanes instead of the left lanes as seen on freeways. When an expressway meets an arterial or collector road, they are connected via an at-grade intersection, although grade separations between arterials and expressways do sometimes occur. While expressway to expressway junctions are always fully grade separated, they often use city streets as on or off ramps. Meanwhile, expressway to freeway junctions may vary between partially grade separated to fully grade separated, while expressways are always grade separated from mainline railways. Level crossings can be found between expressways and light rail. A famous example of a local government getting into the expressway business is Santa Clara County, which is located at the southern end of the San Francisco Bay Area. In the late 1950s, Santa Clara County supervisors said no thanks to BART, preferring to build expressways instead. In the 1960s, the county deliberately built their own expressway system to supplement the freeway system that was planned by CalTrans. Today, 8 expressways exist in Santa Clara County, and they are Almaden Expressway, Capitol Expressway, Central Expressway, Foothill Expressway, Lawrence Expressway, Montague Expressway, which becomes San Tomas Expressway, and finally Oregon Expressway. Additionally, there is also Southwest Expressway, but that is controlled and maintained by the city of San Jose. In total, there are approximately 62 miles of expressways in Santa Clara County. Nearly 1.5 million vehicle trips occur daily on the expressways, and 52% of Santa Clara County residents use an expressway daily. Aside from Southwest Expressway, expressways are county routes, which means that they are controlled and maintained by the respective counties in which they are located. However, not every county road in Santa Clara County is an expressway. Except for San Tomas Expressways, all expressways in Santa Clara County were primarily pre-existing roads. Although the county originally planned to upgrade the expressways into full-fledged freeways, the plan was quickly abandoned because the funding method was widely opposed by citizens of Santa Clara County, who passed a referendum canceling the $10 vehicle registration fee that would have paid for the upgrade of expressways in the 1970s. However, a 3.2 mile section of Central Expressway is fully grade separated, thus resembling a freeway rather than an expressway. This is because the city of Sunnyvale, where the section is in, demanded that its portion of Central Expressway be grade separated, and the city paid extra for it to be that way. While the county has abandoned plans to turn the expressways into full-fledged freeways, the county has studied options to grade separate various intersections along expressways, particularly those along Lawrence Expressway between Oakmead Parkway and Cabrillo Avenue. Given that expressways have higher speeds than the average surface streets, you might be asking, are expressways safe? Well, the fact that there are fewer intersections and fewer driveways means that there are less conflict points where crashes could potentially occur. Drivers are less likely to face traffic slowdowns by cars trying to access adjacent property. However, expressways in general are hostile to those outside of a car, such as pedestrians and cyclists, since the higher speeds on expressways can make car-to-pedestrian or car-to-bicycle collisions even worse. Also, since expressways are wider than the average surface street, they generally take longer for pedestrians or cyclists to cross. And while we're still on the topic of intersections, the higher speeds found on expressways and at-grade intersections are in general not a good combination. In a 2019 study conducted by personal injury firm Henshaw and Henry, 4 of the top 10 most dangerous intersections in San Jose involved an expressway. However, at-grade intersections are not the only place for a potential conflict, since there are driveways into strip malls and gas stations, although they're not as common as found on the so-called stroads. Despite all the issues with expressways, there are plans to address them. Planned improvements for all expressways in Santa Clara County include bicycle signal detection, pedestrian sensors, landscaping, and street lighting improvements. While some of the county proposed improvements for expressways are car-centric, namely the sound wall, traffic signal coordination, and pedestrian adaptive timing, all is not lost. In the mid-2010s, the city of Santa Clara built a multi-use trail along its segment of San Tomas Expressway between Monroe Street and Homestead Road. On this pathway, users are protected by a concrete barrier with a fence on top, and the pathway will provide access for both pedestrians and cyclists. The mixed-use pathway is part of the greater San Tomas Aquino Creek Trail, and there are plans to extend the trail as far south as Stevens Creek Boulevard. Elsewhere in Santa Clara County, there are plans to add pedestrian sensors and install masked arms along Foothill Expressway. The pedestrian sensors will detect when pedestrians are actually in the intersection, and if there are pedestrians, then more walk time will be added if the pedestrian requires it. while the mast arms will improve visibility of the traffic signals. One concept that is under limited conceptual development, but still needed in my honest opinion, is the plan to grade separate VTA light rail from the expressways, particularly the light rail crossing on Central Expressway near Wishman Road in Mountain View. While expressways do provide a quick and easy transportation experience for those in a car, all this has come at the expense of pedestrians and cyclists. In particular, expressways are hostile to those outside of a car, and in Santa Clara County is a symptom of the car-dependent growth and development of the county. As many cities in the county try to move towards fixing the urban planning mistakes made in the past, the county of Santa Clara should rethink the role expressways have on the community.